Hello, my name is Mel Redd.
Hello, my name is Vernon Redd, and we're the co-founders of the Redd Family Collection of Black art. My interest in Black art was sparked, I guess, early on by my uncle, Rufus Mallory, who was a amateur artist. He did paintings of animals and landscapes. And one of his favorite artists to talk about was Henry Tanner. So I grew up just continuously being inundated with Henry Tanner. And from that point on, I continued to look for Black artists. And once I got to Tuskegee, I was exposed to even more Black art.
My appreciation of Black art began as a student at Fisk University. Fisk is a haven of Black art and culture. In the center of campus is Crevette Hall that housed the murals by Aaron Douglas, a leading Harlem Renaissance painter who was also the founder of Black Art Department at Fisk. Black art tells a story. It tells of the struggles, the triumphs, and just the actual survival of African American people.
Black art represented to me a look back at the past, a look back at the history of our people. It showed me what kind of struggles that you go through, and it also showed the resilience of a group of people just to survive. I think Black art is a message to the people today to persevere. The first piece we collected when we were starting is a piece that my uncle had talked about so much. That's the banjo lesson by Henry Tanner. It represented a significant time in history, and the real thing that he tried to get over was that this was the first African-American artist, Black artist, that was represented on a large scale.
The banjo lesson itself depicts an old Black gentleman with a young boy who was probably his grandson, and he was teaching him how to play the banjo. The banjo as a musical instrument is of importance in history because enslaved people from West Africa either created or brought the instrument to the colonies. So there's some historical significance of the banjo lesson, and that's probably one of the reasons why Tanner depicted the old gentleman teaching the young boy how to play the banjo. One of the reasons why we decided to open an art gallery was that when we were searching for art to decorate our home, we spent days and weeks just trying to find art that represented who we are and the Black experience. We quickly found that the type of art we were searching for was not readily available here in the Macon area. It was at one point that Vernon said, "It would be a miracle if we find such art." And it popped in our heads, why not bring Black art to Macon? Why not name the gallery Miracles Fine Art? So it was in 1990 that Miracles Fine Arts Gallery was born.
We actually started doing road shows and trade shows and exhibits around town, just trying to introduce people to Black art. That predated our actually opening the gallery. It was a way of exposing Black art to the people, and there was no other venue here in Macon that was doing it.
We would pack the car, we would set up at schools, churches, even festivals held at local malls and parks. So it began to be too strenuous to continue to do that. So we thought having a storefront would not only be another way to have people come in and enjoy the art. But it just took some of the strain off of us as having to travel week after week after week. In 1991, we opened the first storefront gallery in Bloomfield Village.
It was a good feeling. I mean, it was getting the gallery open was hard, but it was exciting because we really felt like we were bringing something that would help enrich the community.
I think for the most part, the public was in awe when they walked into the gallery, just to see the magnitude of Black art that was available.
They were just literally stunned. A lot of them were just shocked to the point that they couldn't speak. And a lot of that was because they saw images of people who were doing things that they did when they were growing up. I mean, they were just overwhelmed.
We offered a wide selection of art, from traditional to contemporary, artists who painted about the Black experience. We had paintings that were of abstract landscapes, etc. We also had a unique collection of sculptures. You could find just about any type of art that you were looking for.
The gallery is called Miracles Fine Art, and owners are hoping that it will fill a niche in the art world here in Middle Georgia, where there's not a large exposure to Black art.
We want people to come in and understand that Black art is an art form in itself, and there are a lot of different variations of Black art, and a lot of the Black artists have done some beautiful work.
After 10 years of art collection, owners opened this gallery where they maintain modern and historic pieces.
We also try to follow new things that come out, new releases, new publications by different artists.
Many people purchasing pieces from the gallery know that they don't want their colors to clash in their home or office, and often ask for decorators' help.
We have had customers to come in who bring pillow samples and swatches of cloth, and what we do is try to put a grouping together that will coincide with their color scheme.
Opening the gallery was an exciting time, but there were challenges. We were operating the gallery while we were still working full-time. We had the assistance of family members. Miracles was a 3-generational operation. In addition to Vernon and myself, his parents, Lottie and Jacob Redd, were instrumental. Our children, Marques and Marquita, were involved. They were there to hand out pamphlets, and when we traveled to trade shows, they were there to pick up brochures from other artists and other galleries.
It was a multi-generational family affair, really. And it took all of that to put this together.
My earliest memory of Miracles Fine Art Gallery is basically running around a lot. Running around outside, running around in the gallery, being told to stop running around. My name is Marques Redd. I am a multimedia artist and an independent scholar. I'm also the co-founder and co-executive director of Rainbow Serpent, an organization that creates immersive experiences at the intersection of traditional African spirituality, multimedia art, and emerging technology.
My name is Marquita Sams. I'm a choreographer, artist, and I'm founder of Miracles in Motion, which integrates dance, movement, healing, spirituality, and mental health. I'm also a social worker and therapist. I have so many good memories. Going to expos, going to private studios. In my mind, it was like taking trips to all these different places. It was exciting and fun, and there was always something to do.
I know there's one picture when Marquita and I are really small, where we're standing outside of the gallery and I'm holding an Nguni shield and Marquita's standing next to me with a spear, a Zulu spear, and we were posing. And so right from the beginning, we were warriors. Warriors for culture, warriors for Black art.
Being surrounded by art made me feel like life is art. I mean, we had art all over the house. I remember going to the gallery, it seemed like we went every day, like after school, on the weekends. It just made me feel like life was art. You know, we took piano and I took dance and he was writing. And so we were always surrounded by art. It felt like it made art accessible. It made me feel like I was important. It made me feel like Black people were important and that we had a rich history.
My favorite artist to work with was William Tolliver. He did a lot of the paintings that we exhibited in the gallery. On a personal level, I think he was kind of a down-home person who, you know, put family first. Anytime I went by the gallery, he would always ask, where are the children? You know, bring the kids. And most of the time, Marques and Marquita would travel with us when they knew that I was going to see William Tolliver. His gallery was actually in Atlanta. He mainly worked in oil, but some of his work was in acrylic. But he worked in giant pieces. Since his background was in construction, the standard piece of plywood is 4x8. So a lot of his work is on 4x8 boards and 4x8 canvases, which is why a lot of his pieces were converted to lithographs that you could handle on a smaller scale. He was an artist that I would consider to be not just an artist, but a good friend. Then you had Brenda Singletary, who worked with pastels and abstracts. You had Brenda Joy Smith, who worked with, you know, several different mediums. And then you had Paul Goodnight, who worked not only in canvas medium, but he also did, you know, collage work where a lot of his pieces were done from fabric he had cut out and pasted onto the boards.
Miracles was more than an art gallery. It was community focused, and we, especially during Black History Month, we held workshops at schools and churches just to further educate the young people about the contributions of African American artists. And there were several pieces that we had that displayed women of significance. I mean, it included people like Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth. So these pieces actually was educational because we could talk about the different images in the picture and their contributions to America.
It was the single Black art gallery here in Macon. It got a lot of attention from Black radio, and a lot of the Black churches would encourage the members to go by and see things that's created by their own people. There were even situations where we carried, or we did a display specifically of art by the local artists. It brought the community together in a sense.
Miracles participated in several art shows and festivals, including an exhibition at the Old Westgate Mall, the Juneteenth Festival when it was held at Washington Park, and we also participated in auctions. Another important event was the Unique Art Affair. It was a gala that was held at the Okeechobee Communications Building. It spotlighted local and artists from Atlanta. The most thrilling thing was that the mayor-elect, Tommy Armstead, and his wife came to the exhibit along with other county officials. So it was a joyous time. It was one of the most magnificent art events in Macon's history. Art Scope was a column in the Macon Metro Times, and it was basically a mechanism to inform the public of events and to educate about the various styles of art. It talked about exhibitions that were on the horizon. It talked about how to select art, how to collect art. So basically it was a mechanism just to engage the community.
Another memorable community event for me was when Miracles came to our school. And that was a proud moment for me because these are my parents, and they have this collection of artwork, and they have this gallery that's the first and only African American art gallery in the city. And so that was a moment of pride for me. So my favorite pictures were always the ones with ballerinas. I started dancing when I was 4, and so anytime my dad or mom pulled out a picture of a little girl or a ballerina, I wanted it in my room. I remember one specifically was, I don't remember what it was called, but it showed the dancer from past to future, and so it was a little girl, and then her, I guess, as a young adult, and then older. And I always loved it, and it's a really large picture, and I always loved that picture. Also, William Tolliver is one of my favorite artists, so any of the pictures that they had by him, I always remember and always love.
I would say another important piece for me was Ernie Barnes' The Graduate. And that was a piece that my parents gave to me when I graduated from Harvard University. And it's a focus on a graduate, a figure with a cap and gown holding a diploma who's walking across a scene. And there's a starkness and a beauty to the movement depicted in that painting. And I love it. It's one of my all-time favorites. You never realize the importance of things really when they're happening, especially not when you're that young. I think a lot of it is retrospective. Looking back, I think we've had more appreciation of the scope of our parents' achievement. I think there are a lot of details that we didn't even realize about things that were going on, were happening behind the scenes.
A challenging moment was when we kind of got pushed out of the shopping strip because they wanted to put a lottery store there. And as a kid, that really hurt my feelings. I was really disappointed and sad because I didn't know what we were going to do. It seemed like, now as an adult, it's a lesson in capitalism. It's a lesson in people having different values from you. I feel like we were an important part of the community, and so that was disappointing. But fast forward, my dad took us to Pleasant Hill, where he grew up, and also where we went to church. And Pleasant Hill was a community back in the day where a lot of affluent African American people lived. He took us to his auction. He had bought this old Victorian home, and that's where Miracles was going to be. So my mom didn't know about it. She was upset. I was excited because we had this big, beautiful home to move all the art into. So in '94, we moved into Pursley Street. And so we had art all around the house, all around different rooms. And it was nice just being able to have a bigger space.
One of the biggest challenges, of course, was the time constraints we had, both of us working full time. The jobs became more demanding, and that, along with the children we tried to keep them involved in activities, extracurricular activities that would make them more well-rounded.
Well, it was in the mid-1990s that Vernon was actually diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which sort of affected his mobility. Vernon was doing all of the framing for Miracles. That made it somewhat difficult. So it was health challenges that really caused us to start looking at closing Miracles.
In '96, my dad got sick, and I remember it kind of being confusing as a child. I didn't really know exactly what was going on, but our parents told us that we were closing the gallery and we had to put everything in storage. I remember it like yesterday. it was really hard to see something that my parents spent so much time on and so much work in. They put so much work into it for it to just close. And I thought about that a lot over the years, and that was really hard. And because what followed that was very challenging for our family. So to me, it's important now that we have brought the gallery back to life.
With the difficulty I was having with mobility, became less and less services we could offer. So we felt it best, rather than take more risk, to just shut it down. It felt like we lost a friend because it had become part of our family, actually. And the interactions that we were going through with the community were uplifting. And then having to close kind of left a void, not just with us, but with the community.
I would say that the closing of Miracles was a great disappointment because we had poured so much of ourselves into the gallery, so much to the effect that we were teaching about Black art, we were investing in Black art, we were preserving Black art, and it felt like we were really letting down the community, not just ourselves, but the community as a whole. So it was a disappointment.
And that was a challenging moment because I had so many good memories and we had so much fun at the Bloomfield location and on Pursley Street. And so I didn't know what that meant for us going forward, if we were going to be able to open the gallery later. I didn't know what it meant. My dad had a lot of health challenges, and I think it took them a while to kind of figure out what was going on. And after that, he was diagnosed with a liver disease. And by the time he was diagnosed with the disease, I want to say that he was like in the end-stage liver disease. On February 8th, 2001, he received a transplant at the Mayo Clinic. By that time, Marques had graduated and gone off to Harvard. I was still in high school, so I had to go stay with my grandfather for about a month or so while my dad and my mom went down to Jacksonville so that my dad could get the transplant and recover. So they came back home, and he was doing much better. He started walking again, and his mobility improved, and things were going well. I was going into my senior year of high school. I graduated from high school. While I was getting ready to go to college, I had to do a physical or labs or some kind of physical exam. And so my exam results came back and my liver enzymes were elevated. And so I went to my dad's hepatologist, and she broke the news to me and my mom that I had the same liver disease that my dad had and that I would need a transplant at some point to save my life. And so I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember sitting in the doctor's office. I was kind of dumbfounded, and my parents were as well, and it was a shock because we had just gone through all this with my dad, and now as a 17-year-old about to go off to college, I'm in my mind, I don't know what's gonna happen. So I did, finish college, I danced, and I persevered, and knowing the strength that my dad and my mom had my whole childhood and to my early adulthood, I knew that I had to keep going. I knew that I had to continue to live and accomplish my goals and my dreams of becoming a professional dancer. I went on to dance in Philadelphia. I went on to dance in Memphis, the DMV, DC area, and all over. And every year I got sick. Every year, no matter where I was at, I got sick. And so after grad school, a while after grad school, I came back home and I got sick. And again, my parents took care of me and continued to support me and encourage me. And so on December 1st, 2016, I had a liver transplant. And things improved.
So as the executive director of Rainbow Serpent, I also run the Rainbow Serpent Collective, which is a group of artists all around the world, from Brazil, all across the US, Nigeria, England, Romania, that all come together to think about this fusion of traditional African spirituality, emerging tech, and multimedia art. And even on a more local level, I've created exhibition opportunities for other Black artists in Pittsburgh. And all of the art that we had in Miracles certainly influenced me as an artist. The scope of my practice is wide. I do work in film and sculpture, photography, public installation. A lot of that was inspired by seeing the deep collection of works that we have as a family. I would say one piece that I've added is the multimedia part, bringing that new media element into my art practice. And so being grounded, of course, still in Black cosmologies, African mythic traditions, understanding the specificity of Black culture and everyday life, mixed with and enriched with these new avant-garde techniques, whether that is spatial augmented reality, virtual reality, etc., to extend that work into our time in a new way. COVID was a big turning point for me in my career. And that's where I first connected with Mikael Owunna. When I met Mikael, we started working on Owunna, which was a project based on a Nigerian Igbo myth about these deities who create the world through dance. And so we worked with Marquita as a movement consultant, as a producer, to help us really think about the movement language that we wanted to use for the project. We were constantly on the phone, sharing ideas back and forth, sending material back and forth to each other.
So Marques has talked about COVID being a pivotal moment for him. So 2020 was really a pivotal moment for me too, in a different way. In 2020, I first started seeing Reiki clients, so doing energy healing and spiritual work. And I also got married and had a baby. I began to think of how movement and the arts can be used as a healing tool and be used to bring community together that way, whether it's virtually or in person. The name of my business is Miracles in Motion, and it's all about using art as a healing tool. And for me, Miracles in Motion is a continuation of the legacy that my parents have left, and is built on that foundation.
Owunna came out in 2021 and started a long traveling career. It first premiered at Clamp Art, a gallery in New York City, and subsequently traveled to North Carolina Museum of Art, to Esalen, and about 30 other sites around the country.
That collaboration helped me to use more of my experiences in site-specific dance and dance with technology and things that I had learned and experienced while in Milwaukee in grad school.
One project that we worked on next was called The Four World Ages. And that project really was a complex of many different types of artistic expression. It was a photography series, it was a spatial augmented reality performance, it was a live multimedia performance, it was a series of public art installations, and it's still morphing and transforming even as we speak. And so that project really picked up where Owunna left off. And so Owunna was the story of creation. Four World Ages is a story of the history of humanity, starting in an age of divine unity, where human beings are directly connected to the Creator, moving into an age of separation, where human beings start to learn about their differences from each other and from the natural world, moving next into an age of civilization, where the heights of human creativity and knowledge building flourish in parallel with the origin of patriarchy and war, moving into our final and current era, which is an age of chaos. The idea, however, though, is that history is cyclical and that we are on the verge of a possible movement back into a new golden age of divine unity. So Marquita worked as the choreographer on that project, assembled a team of dancers in Atlanta.
So our creative strengths definitely complement each other. Marques is a very structured person, and so he is good with providing framework, he's good with communication, networking, and kind of pulling things together. One of my strengths is thinking about how to bring this vision to life, how to tell this story in smaller bits, how to get from this part of the story to the next.
And this really built on years really of working together. So we already knew how each other operated. We had a similar archive of influences, a similar visual language, and really so many pieces of our life unfolded in the same way.
Just knowing each other, knowing our family history and being surrounded by art, I mean, we kind of have the same mind when it comes to certain things. So I know if I bring something to him, I know what he's gonna say. And so that part makes it easy to work together. Also, if I don't like something he does, I can tell my parents. The most rewarding aspect of collaborating with Marques for me is making our parents proud. I'm also proud that our work has been healing to different communities. I think a lot of the work that Marques does has had a profound effect on the LGBT community, and a lot of the work that I'm doing is having a profound effect on Black women and mothers. And I think that it's needed, this art and this healing is needed for our communities.
For me, becoming a full-time artist helped me understand miracles in a completely new way. I was able to apply for some grant funding from the Pittsburgh Foundation that helped with at least the first stage of digitizing the collection. We had to start cataloging everything. I remember coming back to Macon to see some of the work being taken out so that we could actually photograph it. And there were a lot of mixed emotions. Some pieces, because they had not been taken out in so long, had been damaged. So there were a lot of things that we were having to assess as we were pulling the art back out, just to say, okay, what is here? What do we have? And of course, that pulls back all kinds of memories, good memories and bad memories. And so you're dealing with so many levels, so many waves of emotion. How will we be able to do this? What are the next steps we need to take? What future lives will this work have, and will this collection have? And so those are very difficult questions, and questions that are still being asked and still being answered, but really trying to come to terms with the full richness of the legacy and the amount of work that we knew it would take to successfully bring everything back.
Seeing everything unpacked to me I got a feeling of relief, because I've thought about what it would take to reopen Miracles since it closed, honestly. I thought about it all the time. And so I think I feel relief. Things were able to move forward and come alive again. I think that it's important to preserve this legacy, because if we don't do it, then who else will?
After 2 decades of the art being in storage, we found it to be a fitting time to bring the art back to the forefront. It was exhilarating to finally see the Redd family collection of Black art on exhibit. In 2022, we traveled to Pittsburgh for the Art as Liberation Festival. It was exciting. There were so many people there to view the art, to purchase art, and just showed a genuine interest in Black art.
Honestly, that was a throwback, because that was how Miracle started, as a traveling gallery, packing up the car, putting all the materials in baskets and boxes, and getting on the road. Of course, Pittsburgh was a lot further than we used to travel back in the day, but it really was fitting that that was how the collection started to get back into the public eye.
In 2023, we had the opportunity to participate in the 32nd Juneteenth annual festival that was held at Tatnall Square Park. The art was well received, people were excited, people were purchasing, and it was just good to be back in the community. In 2024, we had the opportunity to partner with the Douglas Theater in downtown Macon. That exhibit focused on 3 Black institutions: the Tubman Museum, the Ruth Hartley Mosley Center, and the Douglas Theater. Those 3 women, Harriet Tubman, Ruth Hartley Mosley, and Fanny Douglas, were 3 women who made an impact in the local Macon community. Because it was Women's History Month, we wanted to explore their contributions to the Macon community. And the Redd family contributed art pieces that were highlighting their contributions.
It's like reuniting with an old friend, bringing these pictures back out. Then trying to establish, I guess, a relationship with the community and other institutions that's going to benefit from the things that they can see and learn about Black art and Black artists. I think the biggest benefit to everyone is just exposure to a whole different side of culture. I'm reminded of a theme, a saying that we had at the Miracles Fine Art Gallery, and that is, art is a lifetime treasure. Well, the exhibition that we just had lets me know that the treasure is still there and there are still people seeking it.
It actually means a lot to have the Redd family collection of art to be exhibited at the Tubman. We've had a personal relationship with the Tubman for many years, beginning with Marques and Marquita participating in the summer arts program, in addition to Marquita taking dance classes at the Tubman, where she performed in many Kwanzaa programs.
As well as what my wife said, it's just an honor to bring this collection to an institution that is the largest institution of Black art in the Southeast. Well, pieces that will be part of the exhibition were chosen by preference. The first preference was that it be an original piece. We have art that was done by artists that are originals. The second criteria was that it had historical significance. We had art that's been done by people such as Jacob Lawrence and Romeo Bearden. We felt like has a lot of historical significance.
In addition to including paintings in the exhibit, we wanted to make sure that we included other pieces from the collection, including wood carvings, statues, canes, walking sticks, things of that nature, to give you a well-rounded view of the collection. There are over 800 pieces in our collection, so what we're giving you is just a sampling of the art that we've collected. It was really eye-opening to see some of the pieces again because they've been in storage for such a long time. So it was exciting. It was almost like unwrapping a gift, you know, during the holidays, during Christmas. I mean, we were opening up some of these pieces that we had not seen in years. So we were excited. I hope that those who visit the exhibit will find some sort of history from the collection. We hope that it will inspire conversations. We just hope that the community as a whole will become more engaged in learning about Black art and artists.
We are really hoping that the people who come see this finds a little of themselves in this exhibit. On a personal level, of course, the first miracle for me is just recovery from some of the illnesses. The miracle of actually having and owning pieces, valuable pieces of our history, of my history. And it goes further than just the present, it goes into the future as far as I'm concerned, because it's made me believe that miracles do happen.
The word miracles has so many meanings. Just going back to why we started Miracles. It was a miracle that we were actually able to bring Black art to the Macon community. It was a miracle that we were able to educate and inspire the Macon community to welcome and accept, learn more about Black art, and just cherish the art. It was a miracle, as Vernon said, that he survived his health challenges. It was a miracle that we were able to have the exhibits after the art was being stored for so long. So from the beginning to the present, it's been a miracle. My appreciation for art began as a student at an HBCU. It is my vision that the collection could travel to HBCUs to inspire students like myself.
If the children can just take this collection and use it to inspire them to always be involved with art, culture, and other things significant to our people, then I feel like our job would have been done.
I would like for future generations to take the helm and to carry on what we started as a matter of informing, educating, preserving, and just enjoying Black art.
I'm so excited that Miracles will be having this exhibit at the Tubman Museum. I have a long history with the Tubman. I danced there as a kid. I really enjoyed doing the African dances and dancing with my friends. And later, as an adult, I performed in the Living History Tour. I really enjoyed doing the tours because it kind of brought me back to my days of dancing at the Tubman when it was at the old location. And so doing the tour there led me to kind of doing these site-specific dances around Macon at historical sites. And so I did a dance in front of Miracles when the house on Pursley Street. My mom filmed it and it's on YouTube, and it's just a dance of me kind of embracing my inner child and just having fun in front of the place where we had all those memories with the gallery. It's just a full circle moment for me.
I would want people to understand that culture is work. Culture does not just appear by itself. Culture takes discipline. Culture takes institutions. Cultures take a lot of day in and day out dedication. It takes work to create traditions, sustain traditions, and pass traditions down. And I want to express gratitude to my parents for the work that they've done, for the work that we are still benefiting from, I hope people will be inspired to participate and continue that work.
I hope that people understand when it comes to our family's artistic and cultural legacy that when you live in your purpose, the community benefits. I think we all have a purpose, we all have a role, and because my parents lived their role the best they could and instilled in us the values, beliefs, and importance of art, culture, education, that we are able to live in our roles, live in our purpose.
I hope people will continue to think about how they can catalyze the growth and development of Black cultural traditions.
I think I'm most proud of the fact that our children have followed along the same path. They are involved with things that not only is just Black art, but Black culture.
To the community, I would just say, be inspired, be encouraged, and enjoy African American art.
I would like to say thank you to the Middle Georgia community for supporting us in the past, going along on this beautiful ride and this beautiful journey. We would love for you to join us again, but I say thank you to everyone who helped us and who encouraged us as we started on this journey and continued.
Remember, art is a lifetime treasure.